Johnny Evans is a red, is a red, is a red. Johnny Evans is a red. EA Scousers. Good evening, everyone. How are we all doing on this fantastic Monday night? Get your thoughts and feelings in the comment section. This is Real Reds Talk. My name's Nick, and we've got quite a few topics to discuss, as always. Some controversial topics, some debatable topics, some hot topics, let's just absolutely dive into it. There's a left-back crisis at Manchester United at the moment, and there have been some names swilling around the wine glass, which I'm definitely interested to get into. We've put a poll up at the start, so make sure you interact with that and let us know your thoughts on who should be starting there. And that is going to be the main headline of the story for today's relatively quick news show, I want to say. I am in work at 5 tonight, so I thought we need to get a show in regardless, but whatever it is. But we've got good things to talk about, and that's the good thing. The left-back options, first and foremost. Which plaster should we put on? That is the question, because no Mazraoui, due to the kind of heart thing that he had, but I think it's going to be like 3 weeks. You've got no Luke Shaw, probably for the rest of his career, because anytime there seems to be a level of always getting back, he might be here, this might be it, and then it drops. It's like, he's going to be out for another 6 weeks. You're like, right, okay, so let's just move on. Tyrone Malacio, he's been touted to come back about 3, 4, 5, 6 times, and it's just never come to fruition at the minute. I know he's back on grass, I know he's training with the lads, but I think they really want to be careful about that. I'm not rushing back too quick. So he's obviously ruled out, which means, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, we've had no left back anyway, because Dallow's been slotting in there. But because Mazraoui's out, that means he's probably going to go over to the right-hand side. We're probably going to see a reintroduction of Matheus de Ligt and Lissandro, because Maguire is now injured. And then we have the left-hand side vacancy that we need to fill. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go through the pros and cons of each player who could potentially play there when we play Brentford on Saturday. So the 4 names I've got listed is Johnny Evans, Victor Lindelof, Lisandro Martinez, and Harry Amas. They're the 4 who could technically play there. What the headline that's coming out today, which is why it sparked this show and sparked me to talk about it, is that Erik ten Hag is ready to play Johnny Evans as an emergency left back against Brentford. And when you talk about emergency, I can't believe it's 2024, and this is no slight on Johnny Evans, because I still think he's a terrific defender. You saw that in the last performance. Arguably our best defender on form. Not even arguably, is our best defender on form. It's 2024, and Johnny Evans is playing left back. Not a prime Johnny Evans. Not someone who's won titles with us and been out at the club. His second time around, when he was just training here to get fit, has ended up signing another 1-year extension after the first year extension of playing 30 times. And now it's like, Johnny, do you fancy left back, mate? Like I said, it's not a slight on Johnny Evans whatsoever at all. It really, really, really isn't. But it's like you go to any Premier League centre-back now who's, relatively aged. Jagielka, let's say, for example, when he was Everton, and saying to him, do you want to go play left-back? I'm sure he's, experienced, defensively solid, good positional awareness. He looked really good. But how much are you going to get out of there? You've got no pace, no mobility for a full-back role, offers little attacking threat, and he's not naturally suited to wide defensive duties. So, if that's your option, or if that's your answer to the question, I don't know. But it is difficult because each player that I'm going to go through now all have their deficiencies in that area. I mean, Lisandro Martinez has basically been playing there for the past couple of games when you've had Dalot inverting, and he's been defending the wide channels. And I would advise anyone who watched the Porto game to go back and watch that game and let me know how you thought Lisandro Martinez did there. Likewise, I think the Spurs game as well, he struggled. He really, really struggled. And he's someone who I said, even before the season started, I'd like to see Lisandro Martinez at left back to see how it works. The answer to that question is, it does not work. So let's just cut that one off, basically. Martinez, what you're going to get from him, comfortable on the on the ball, aggressive in challenges, left-footed, better suited for playing out from the back, can invert into midfield if needs be. But again, it's typically a central defender. He can get exposed by fast wingers, which we saw in the past previous games. And he's probably more needed in that left centre-back role than he is. I don't know. I think against Brentford, you're going to come up against an Mberno, right? Who is arguably, well, he's definitely Brentford's best player, and he's been one of the better players in the league. And I know that because of my FPL. Mberno's a really good player. So he is going to terrify the likes of anyone who goes over to that side. And Thomas Frank, no doubt, right now, as we speak, on this channel, is probably sat there with his fucking notepad or iPad going through tactics, looking at United side and going, lads, we're going to get some joy down there. Doubling up, wing-backs pushing on, crosses into the box. We are going to cause serious, serious, serious problems. So I think we're fucked either way. Let's be clear about that. We look at another option in Victor Lindelof. He's played at right back before. I think he played left back nearly a couple of times around the period last season when we, I think Amrabat came in, didn't he? When we played Palace, I think, in the Carabao Cup. Can't remember the games Lindelof played at left back, who he played against. But he wasn't great. He wasn't great. I know he's calm under pressure. I know he's got decent passing range and he's filled in before, but he's not naturally quick. Again, pace is the sticking factor with the majority of these options. He's not really attacking minded. He's right-footed. No overlaps, kind of stuck. That position then becomes null and void, really, doesn't it? So again, you're like, okay. Then there's a wild card. Not a wild card, because I've spoken about him on this afternoon show. He's not a wild card, but he's someone who United don't think is ready yet, and that's Harry Amas. Young, quicker than the options that I've mentioned, than Evans, Lissandro, and Victor Lindelof, for sure, is quicker than them, more naturally suited there. Very eager to impress. He's looking to get his opportunity. He's been chomping at the bit for a while now. Lack of experience at senior level could be a defensive liability against a high-level opposition. And Mberno, for example, which is one of the toughest tests in the Premier League, I would argue, right now, the form that he's in. So, yeah, apparently, Ten Hag fancies Johnny Evans. I think he fucked. You can't. I mean, people are going to moan about it. People are going to say, why is he doing this? Why is he playing Johnny Evans there? Or whatever, blah, blah, blah. I think just purely experience will kind of... If you ever played Top Trumps as a kid, each stat would kind of overlap. I think pace, none of them have it, really. Even Harry Amas isn't the quickest. So what do? You rely on your senior players and the experienced ones who have probably been in that situation a lot more than the others, if that makes sense. So Johnny Evans there is fine, but what... It's not fine. But what are you going to get from him in particular in that role? You know, I'm sure he won't be adventuring out much. I can tell you that for a fact, which means that left-hand side becomes null and void with Marcus Rashford having no one to offer him that width, like Shaw would do, for example, the overlapping runs, someone underlapping so we can drag it out wide. He's going to have none of that. So that side's going to be completely isolated straight off the bat. I think positionally he's fine. He's highly experienced, so he can touch tight. He knows when to step up. All those things are okay. It's when Brentford get that ball on that right-hand side and they are they've got an overload, or there's Mberno, and I don't know who plays right back for. Is it Janssen? Not Janssen. Shit, who plays right back for Brentford? They're right back. Anyway, when there's a 2v1 and Evans is there, they're going to exploit it. They are going to exploit it. So I wasn't looking forward to the Brentford game anyway. I kind of made the assessment that there's not going to be a fullback available. Dallow's going to be there. A lot of people have been kind of calling out for the back five or back three formation or whatever, which I get. I understand. But even that, then, it's like, well, who plays wing back? Do you put Anthony there? Do you put a winger there? Like, how do you manage that situation? And then you're taking away from your attack. Do you match Brentford? I don't know. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. I have no positivity going into this Brentford game just because of from what I've seen this season. We're going to do the preview on Thursday. And my God, is that going to be interesting. So let us know your thoughts about that left-back situation. I've put Evans, Leach, Lindelof and Amas, and I'll read out the poll at the end of the game. I know there's quite a few people who was pushing for Amas and want him in the team, but I've already spoken about that, so I don't want to cover old ground, but I get it. I understand it. Trust me. Now, on to the next story. Not necessarily Manchester United based, but could kind of have a knock-on effect on United, if you will, so you've got to kind of include it. Pep Guardiola has been sounded out as becoming England's next manager and is expected to decide on his future in the next coming weeks, which sounds like, interesting. Look, he manages City. I don't like City. We've had some bad memories against him. We've had some good memories against him. I don't necessarily hate him. I think he's an amazing coach. You can only applaud his accolades. I don't like the Fergie comparisons or any of that kind of stuff. But there is no doubt about it. He's the best coach in the world right now. And for England, I think if England are to win anything significant, like a World Cup or a Euros, I think, yeah, I think he's the man. I think he's the one. I just realised I've still got the same news ticker since things. Let me just swap that around. People are thinking of a deja vu. They're like, that was on the news ticker before. What are you doing, Nick? Let's just bang that on there. There we go. Sorry about that. But yeah, Pep Guardiola, I think, would be a phenomenal choice for England. I think transitioning to international football, in respect, would both bring kind of opportunities and challenges for him. I know he's been successful for the majority of places that he's been, but the adaptation to international football is definitely an interesting thing I think we could discuss for the next 5 or 10 minutes. If you look at squad selection in comparison to Man City, it's not like club football. You only have limited time with players to implement certain ideas and style. So you have a player pool and you have a transfer market. Pep's accustomed to spending heavily. When he wants a certain player, when he wants a very, very, the exact profile that he needs, boom, Tiki Bergestan or whoever it is, the sporting director at Man City, I need this guy. Can you find me this profile? Jeremy Doku walks in, etc., etc. In international football, you can't sign players. You've got to work with that fixed pool. Having said that, England's fixed pool, they've got pretty talented players. And I think a lot of them would align with Guardiola's style. You talk about, obviously, he's worked with Phil Foden before, and Kyle Walker, etc. But then you've got Jude Bellingham, Bukayo Saka, Trent, Cole Palmer, a guy who's, a guy who's going to maximise the potential and craft a more technical possession-based team. That's what you're going to get from Pep Guardiola, and get the best out of these players as well, because a lot of them in an England shirt, people talk about him that it's very heavy. I know Trent's had that criticism before. I know he scored an amazing free kick the other night, but I think players like that, you'll see him get the best out of. And it's fascinating to think about the idea of him working. I know he's worked with Foden, Palmer, and others, like I said before, but, if Kane's still flying, he wanted Kane at Man City. You can see there's a lot of players there that he could definitely work with. Even Grealish, who I've not spoken about. I'm not saying it's going to turn into the Man City team, but you can see the profile that he would go for already. You've got that kind of tactical flexibility as well. International tournaments, for some reason, international tournaments seem to push teams to play more pragmatic, don't they? You look at France, for example. They have got all the talent in the world. When you look at them, like, man for man, they're as good as anyone, but they play really pragmatic, like, really counter-attacking. And if Pep goes into international football and changes that narrative, I think that would be absolutely fascinating. And I think he could, because he's known for his tactical innovations. I've said that before. So we could potentially become unpredictable and tactically versatile in many situations. And I'm all for that. I think Southgate's bottled it in 2 finals. If you have Pep in charge in them finals, I think you win him. I think you win him convincingly. As maybe not Spain. I mean, that would have been blockbuster, wouldn't it? Pep Guardiola managing England in the final against Spain. Crazy. But this guy's got experience winning domestic titles, Champions Leagues, used to mega pressure. Can he translate that into World Cup and Euros and stuff? I don't know. I think a lot of people at Man City at the moment, and City fans will probably disagree with this, but I think a lot of them can see what's coming over the hill, can see what's on the horizon towards the end of next season. De Bruyne looking to leave towards Saudi. Obviously, you got Rodri, who's out in the end of the season, which wasn't intentional. You got Pep leaving, Tiki Bergestan's leaving. You got all these people leaving Man City. There's huge changes there. I think Pep will as well. I think he will go. I'll put my neck on the line. People might be surprised at that. I think he'll go. I think he will go manage England, and I think he'll win something with England as well, if he does. Yeah, I think it's an interesting appointment, because obviously I thought when Poch went to, when he went to America, I thought, interesting. Why have England not gone for him? Because I think Poch, with young players and man management, is really good, really good. And I thought he would have been perfect for England in particular. It's probably why America have kind of touted him. And then America have got that kind of the pull, like, well, we've got the World Cup. You're going to be managing that, and it's in our country. You've got the potential to do something amazing. But I look at Pep, likewise as well with man management. I look at how he connects with players on a personal level, his focus on teamwork, his motivational character, how he builds teams. honestly, I've never praised the Man City manager so much, but he is a phenomenal coach, and there's no two ways about that. And in comparison to Gareth Southgate, it is fucking apples and oranges. So I think that'll be an amazing appointment. But I'd love to hear what everyone else thinks, whether you watch this live or watch this later on. Please do tune in, because that is massive, massive news in regards to Pep Guardiola. But yeah, I'm just seeing something in there. JSI versus Deji on Misfits. I know it's really, really random. Oh, that is fucking crazy. What the fuck? Brother versus brother. Anyway, like I said, it was just a quick news show today, guys. I'm sorry. I'm just looking to see if there's any other little bits I could potentially touch on before I head off. Have we got anything? No, I think the majority of it's what I've covered. If anything does break that's significant, I'm happy to go live when I get back. I'll be back around, I want to say, 10:30? 10:30ish. I'll be back around. It'll be a late night live, of course. But yeah, that's it for now, the latest updates. So, appreciate you guys. Like I said, if you are watching this live or later on, please do smash like on the video for us. Vote in the poll. Amas has won it with 71%.